white, the blacks, everybody. Standing in lines, a line would be from the Howard Theater clean down the Woodbury down to S Street, on Woodbury Street, waiting in line to get there. Oh man, it was beautiful. You thought you was going to Hollywood premiere.
And then you would do all kinds of numbers, risque numbers, and put on shows, terrific shows, and it was good. It was really living then. Oh, life was beautiful.
The whites could go where they wanted to go. We couldn't go where we wanted to go. So they would come and join us. We couldn't come and join them.
I was born in Washington. I have to think about it. 1897, February 1st.
After the shows, then the clubs would open. And the homies who were musicians and these greats that come in our town for a show would lock up, and there would be music all over that corner of 7th and T.
Dream singers, storytellers, dancers, loud laughers in the hands of fate. My people, dishwashers, elevator boys, ladies' maids, crap shooters, cooks, waiters, jazzers, nurses of babies, loaders of ships, rounders, numbers writers, comedians in vaudeville, and band men in circuses, dream singers all, my people.
We knew about the world in that alley because the world came to us. All of the great entertainers who were anybody and had been anywhere, they had to come to the Howard Theater. And by us living so close, we got to see the world.
But there was a fruit stand right here.
Louis DeMarco. Louis DeMarco had it before Tim had it.
But somebody had a fruit stand and an all-night paper.
That was later.
Oh, excuse me.
That was later. Bus Wallace.
Bus Wallace had it.
That was later.
Uh-huh.
Then after Louis DeMarco sold the fruit stand to Miss Mamie Brown, she gave it to Tim.
Because I remember when Mr. Louis had it, because that's where we used to come and get the specs.
Now, then the greatest thing.
And all the musicians came, and all the school teachers came, and all of the doctors came, and all of the maids came, and all of the white folks who were not supposed to be there came. They all came right to that one corner of 7th and T.
I'm Yale Lewis, and I too have danced the nights away at 7th and T. 7th and T, more than just a corner. It was a spirit, the heartbeat of Black Washington. And in the center of it all, the Howard Theater, once the greatest theater in the nation. Well, at least for Black Americans. Our story revolves around this theater and the neighborhood it created. 7th and T is where Black Washington saw its community grow up. Through 2 world wars, through vaudeville and jazz, segregation and desegregation. The Howard Theater stands silent now. But let's listen again to the sounds of the theater, alive with the music, the jazzers, the homies.
I remember that too, boy.
Okay.
You better believe it.
Yeah, he does come Sunday. Then I come in with, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Jimmy McPhail, blah, blah, blah.
What keys am I blue in?
A few strong.
Am I blues in E flat? I'll take it.
You want that monologue on the Am I Blue?
Yes, please, love.
Well, I talk trash, and then I go into
Brother Black's got his music.
And Brother Black's got his music.
Then the greatest thing was, in Tim's, they had a 5-cent Nickelodeon in there. Had one piece on there for 15 years. Benny Green, I Want to Blow Now.
Yeah.
One piece.
And Baby Lawrence used to tap dance here.
Not only Baby Lawrence, everybody. Teddy Hale, everybody come in there.
People don't even know about Teddy Hale.
Teddy Hale, all them people.
But now remember Bill Bailey.
Bill Bailey danced all out here.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Then he might come inside.
Uh-huh.
But the greatest thing was when Charlie Parker sitting there all night, just listening to a couple of pieces, drinking our gin and talking a little trash. You know?
Well, y'all wouldn't let me be around too tough then.
And this was Mamie's.
Growing up in that alley atmosphere buffered me for what I've got to go through with out here today. It was a beautiful life as far as I was concerned at that time, but then it was the only life I knew. I wanted to be a chorus girl. I was kicking up my legs and, you know, all of this good stuff. I saw Alberta Hunter as a young woman. I saw Ethel Waters as a young woman. I was there. I was there.
Ladies and gentlemen, the First Lady of Washington Jazz, Miss Mary Jefferson.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, sometimes your friends give you the blues. I've got a girlfriend like that. She's over to my house every day, just like a roach into everything, signifying, trying to find out what's going on with me and my man. Last night, my man and I had a hot argument, and he didn't even come home. Do you know she was there the first thing in the morning? Mary, you don't look so good. What's the matter? Did you and your man have a fight? You look kind of blue. And I looked at her and said, am I blue? Am I blue? Tears in these eyes telling you
We had our own subculture, or whatever you want to call it, but we cared about ourselves. And when the ladies in the alley stepped out, or the men in the alley stepped out, honey, they were fine. My granddaddy, my mother's father, wore a derby hat, a cutaway coat with striped pants, and carried a cane every day that I saw him. Mr. Marshall Connor.
with your man done fell through. there was a time.
I guess I knew that there was such a thing as being poor, being on relief, we called it then. But life was good to us kids. I don't ever recall having been hungry. Might have had plenty of grits and molasses and bacon, you know, hot rolls, hot biscuits. But somebody was always fixing something. And if Miss Lily had a pot and she had some left over, she'd send it over to Miss Jefferson. If Miss Jefferson had extra slab of bacon, she'd give it to Sister Lucy. But we had that kind of camaraderie. Everybody looked out for everybody.
Then we had 2 or 3 mayors around here. Number 1 was Freddie Woods.
Yes, I remember Freddie.
Number 2,
Mr. Freddie.
Duck Jackson.
Now, you know I remember
And
Mr.
the most
Duck.
flamboyant one of all was Dummy George. Well, nobody like Dummy.
Buster's my first cousin. Everybody thinks he's my brother.
Then we had a fellow around here.
Yes, he sold hot dogs in Tim's hot dog stand.
His name is Herman.
Every morning you'd go past, and all in front of Tim's would be just pigeons and birds and little birds, and he'd be standing in the middle of them just throwing the bread all around.
Then all around here on Woodburger Street, Chicken Charlie. You can't forget him. He fed a many show person.
That's the truth. Now,
He
that
fed
is
a
the
many
truth.
show person. Right down here in Woodburger Street. Now the House Theater, they had some shows here, buddy. What's up? They had some course here.
For the musicians of the 7th and T Ensemble, on piano, Mr. John Malachi. On bass, Mr. Keeter Betts. And on the tenor saxophone, Mr. Roger Buck Hill. Mr. Webster Young, trumpet. And on the drums, Mr. George Dude Brown.
Let's go straight through and see what happens.
Gee, I wish that I could be with you tonight. And gee, I know that everything would be alright. The crickets are singing a love song under a tropic moon. I'm sitting here and I'm wishing that I'll be home real soon. We'll walk that road.
Did you go straight to G then?
That's all I did was go back. I went to the top. Is that the top?
No.
Well, what is G?
G is coming into the end.
The guys that I worked with were guys who had been playing for a while. Some of them had traveled and come back home. Washington was just a place for them to work in the post office or work somewhere and play music on the side, you know. Most of the musicians had another job. We always thought it was funny, you know. Anytime we heard somebody saying about jazz, you know, so we'd turn around and give them a second look, you know. And of course, when we played the white clubs, you know, there always some guy would come in and have drums. Say, "All right, boy, come on, jazz it up." And we'd laugh at him, you know. So let's play some of his food, you know.
Jazz is making do with taters and grits, standing up each time it get hit. Jazz ain't nothing but soul. Jazz is living high off nickels and dimes, telling folks about what's on your mind. Jazz ain't nothing but soul. Trumpets, cussing, saxophone, rhythm, making love, hustlers wearing fancy clothes. That's the voice of my people. For me, it's all the truth to be found. Never mind who's putting it down. Jazz, that ain't nothing but soul. The Howard Theater was built in 1910. But our story has its roots in the years before the turn of the century. All this really began just a half-mile away, up on the hill. Years ago in Washington, when you said the Hill, you were referring to Howard University and not to Capitol Hill. And in the Washington of 1900, there was a black society. Not of poor sharecroppers from the South, as some might imagine, but a society of a different sort.
I loved Howard University. I grew up on the campus, raced and run, went to the football games, did the chapel services on Sunday. We didn't go down to the 15th Street Presbyterian Church all the time. It was too far away. And we didn't have any automobile at that time. They called it the capstone of Negro education. So that Washington was very proud of Howard University. Now, people had talked about the New York Renaissance. Well, we didn't have to have a Renaissance because they've been building ever since there was a Howard University. There was a culture group here.
I'm here on the campus of Howard University, which was established in 1867, just 2 years after that bloody Civil War, which brought about the emancipation of nearly 4 million black Americans. In the Washington of that same year, 1867, white men and black men stood side by side voting in municipal elections. The progress of the black community was due to acts of Congress and not a sudden change of heart on the part of white Washington. At the University on the Hill, America's leading black intellectuals were working on an agenda for a new America, free from racial conflict.
And we had a group of writers, we had a group of musicians, and we had a club called the Musalit, and many of those people got together. And then when Paul Laurence Dunbar came here to the Library of Congress, he lived at the house with my parents, and he read for the Musalit Club.
In 1901, poet Paul Laurence Dunbar wrote of Washington in the Saturday Evening Post. Here exists a society which is sufficient unto itself, a society which is satisfied with its own condition, and which is not asking for social intercourse with whites. Here come together the flower of colored citizenship from all parts of the country.
Well, my father was a brilliant man. I remember when we were kids, for instance, my mother packing one of those old tan suitcases. He was going all over the country. Send your talented children to Howard University. We will get scholarships, we will do this, but if they have talent, bring them to Howard.
And the talented came to Howard University, but the community was lacking a theater open to the expression of black art. A theater with a stage for black actors and seating for black audiences. A theater that would show the world black society as black society saw itself. On August 22nd, 1910, the Howard Theater opened. The showcase of Black American culture now stood at the corner of 7th and T.
You felt at home at the Howard Theater, but that's the only theater that we could go to at that time, because downtown, you know, the doors were locked solid.
My brother was running an elevator on 18th Street in an apartment house called the Marlboro. I told my mother, I said, I think you're going to have a soldier in the family. She said, what do you mean? I said, Emmett says he wants to enlist. And when he came in that night, he had his uniform on and he had his civilian clothes thrown across his shoulder. And my mother said to him, you're in there, and don't ask me to get you out. And don't disgrace that uniform. And they went on to France, and he was in France 18 months.
Paris, December 9th, 1918. Black soldier Coleman C. Dills of Washington writes a letter to William C. Chase, Esquire, editor of the Washington Bee. My dear Mr. Chase, well, the colored soldiers will shortly be home, and we Washington boys will welcome a sight of old Pensy Avenue and especially 7th, U, and 14th Streets. Tell the people there to prepare to receive us because we have done the work and have brought the bacon home. In February 1919, the men of the 15th Regiment marched proudly through the streets of New York under the command of James Reese Europe and his big band. In Washington, there were no parades. The white mobs were met by gunfire from machine gun nests set up on the roof of the Howard Theater. Black Washington was determined not to be intimidated. This time, it was not the intellectuals up on the hill at Howard University, but the boys on the streets at 7th and T who led the way.
And all during the 20s, I think the Howard was the place to go and be seen and enjoy yourself. They had road shows, they had movie pictures, we had supper shows on Sunday evenings at 6 o'clock. And there wouldn't be a vacant seat in the house. It was never a dull moment. You could always find somewhere to go and something to do. All night. You were safe.
I played Rose Time Review. I sang with Carol Boyd, and he sang tenor. The two voices together, he sang beautiful. I had this big, beautiful picture hat on, long curls. I could play that piano, swing that left hand and play it beautiful. Oh yeah, it was good looking too.
And they said, let's go such and such a place. Gertie's playing. Gertie Wells is playing. and she drew a crowd wherever she was. And Gertie used to have to pass for Spanish to go to some of these little white clubs and play at night.
I had to wear a Spanish costume because they want me to look. Now you want me to answer that? Because they don't want me to look like I was colored. Now I gave you the answer. That's why I wore it. They want me to look kind of like a Spanish woman, and I look like one. I played at the Howard Theater for dramas, beautiful dramas, for silent pictures. I know how to play horse run, run horse, run horse, run horse, run horse, run horse. I played at Herbert Saunders right next to the Howard Theater. That was 17. I played at the church down the street from 17. Holy Moly Church. I played there some Sunday mornings. I'd go down and play.
You had a lot of youngsters that stopped school and used to run liquor at night. They would bring in the supplies and they would supply different people in small quantities. They came from good families, but the money was out there and they decided to get some of it. Depression was coming and things were getting very slow at 17.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I got to find myself somewhere to stay. They turned my house down. That crew from the WPA. Well, I went to the relief station. I didn't have a cent. Hey, they said go back and stay where you live. You don't have to pay no rent. I went home. They were tacking a note on my door. Said, you can't live here.
The Howard Theater had closed its doors. Soup kitchens and bread lines replaced the society shows. But not for long.
My first recollection of the Howard Theater is when it reopened in the fall of 1931 with Duke Ellington. And I'm coming up from Dunbar High School and going to the Howard Theater. I thought that was a great day. I believe I came on that Friday that Duke Ellington opened. It may have been Saturday. I'm not going to be that positive now, 55 years later. The next artist, the next performer was Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong followed Duke in the next week, and the third week, Duke returned. And those were 3 great weeks, as I recall, as a high school boy coming from Dunbar to the Howard Theater.
And now for something from the gentleman a little more lyrical. Thelonious Monk's Round About Midnight.
There's no comparison today and yesterday. When I say this, yesterday you could walk up and down the street, nobody would bother you. Now you're afraid to come into the street. You don't know anybody. Once upon a time you knew everybody when you came around here. Now it's just a little bit different. Neighborhood has changed all like nothing. You don't have no restaurants. Of course, Tim Hot Dog Stand is gone. The Howard Theater's gone. Doug Jackson's place is gone. That was across the street. Stage Door is the only place up here that you could go to now, and I haven't been in there in 16 years.
I remember telling you, wouldn't even talk to me about it. You see how time changes? Reflex gone. See how time getting away from me? That's the age. That's old age. But you got to live to get that like that. I just wish some of the old timers who made 17 T were still living. Whatever happened to 17, the old timers made it, and they set it down from generation to generation. To the ones that they almost handpicked. You was almost handpicked to come 17. You just didn't walk down there. Somebody down there had to like you. That was the most important thing. I stayed on U Street a minute day before I could get there. A minute day.
I can see Tim Paulin now pitching for Armstrong when he was in high school, and I can see Tim Paulin when he had his hot dog stand just west of Howard Theater, maybe only 25 yards away. He was an entrepreneur in a way. He was a young businessman. And maybe a denizen is a good term, but it has just a slightly pejorative connotation. I'll make him a citizen of 7th and T rather than a denizen.
We never closed. We only closed just long enough to clean up the hot dog stand. That's like from 5:30 till about 8:30 in the morning. And then there was always somebody there to open up for me, and I came in around 12, and stayed till the next morning.
All I could think about was them pretty girls, boy. See them in the show coming there, they had course line. Everybody count bases, Ellington, everybody, boy, everybody be waiting for them. Big time in Wilburger Street. See, they see the stage around by Wilburger Street, see. That's where everybody would go. Way down there by stage door? That's where the bus would pull up. Big time then, boy.
Pearl Bailey had the biggest lines ever been to the Howard Theater. She would come in the dead winter time, and it would be like people standing out in the snow and ice, and she sent word down to the hot dog stand for me to serve coffee and hot dogs in the line and keep her people warm. And she said she didn't care what it cost, that she would pay for it.
There was one lady that was allowed on the block to hang out with the men. I said it was Miss Bessie.
Oh, no, that's a nice lady.
Odessa.
That's a nice lady. She just like to hang on, talk, Everybody gathering around, but the youngsters had to stand all around here on that side. They couldn't stand down here.
And she could gamble better than any of you men.
Oh, you don't talk about that, you know, but gambling that, you don't talk about that. See, that's
Well,
a nice lady.
we know that this was the era you shot.
Oh, you don't talk about all that, you know, the area, you know, the gambling, all that stuff, you know.
All right, excuse me.
You know, but
excuse me.
Well, upstairs was a crap house. And all the guys used to go up there to play crap. And they would be out front and they would run upstairs to get into the crap game. And when the police would come, if they didn't open the door, they'd kick it down. And everybody would run off the roof, down the back, and come through my place and come out in the streets, the ones that they didn't put into the wagon.
Well, after I'm in there about 5 minutes, the place is raided. They took us all the way in a patrol wagon. There was a little article in one of the black papers. It was a small type. I envisioned the headlines the next day. Waxy Maxie carried away in a patrol wagon at a crap game. And this is what things that went on 17th Street. I used to shoot pool. You know, when I used to go out for lunch, I'd kill about a half hour or so, shooting pool next door to the Howard Theater and cross street from the Howard Theater. And because that's the only relaxation that I had. Because in the store, it was always turmoil. Imagine 10 speakers going at one time, everyone playing a different record.
He had the disc jockey, and he sat in the window, and he played records in the window, and they had all kinds of gimmicks, and you could stand out there. We was the smaller kids. See, we could not just be running up and down the street and one thing another. So Friday nights and Saturday nights, we couldn't go to the Lincoln Colonnade because the dances were at a certain time and cut off. So we'd hang around this window, and whoever came to the theater would come over, and they'd have in the booth, in the window, interviews. You got the opportunity to see stars outside and get the autograph, you know. So he brought excitement to the neighborhood.
There was a woman up the street on T Street by the name of Edwina. She used to board and feed show people. I used to eat over there. In fact, Lionel Hampton, he used to come by the shop. He said, Max, let's get some fat meat and greens. Let's go over to Edwina's. So I'd go over with them. I didn't eat any fat meat and greens, but I used to love pig feet.
all the show people come here, and all around here, if you had an empty room, that was a rooming house.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't go downtown to a hotel there. All around here, over 525, used to be a lady named Ma. Edwina came later.
Oh?
Yeah, Edwina came later. The houses all on this side was rooming houses.
We would all meet here at night after the shows and just have dinner and have a good time, play cards. My house was on 7th and T, 1810 7th Street. When they couldn't come to Edwina's, they'd come to my place. They could dance if they wanted. I had a jukebox in there. And after they finished the Howard Theater, then they would come over there and they'd sit and play the jukebox and dance and just have a good time, and all the people would just stay there till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And then when they leave my place, they would go up to the Old Rose Social Club, which served drinks and meals after hours.
When we get off from work, the guys would be outside and the girls and all, waiting for me to take them uptown, and I'd take them uptown. We'd go to Chris's Cabins, a bunch of Chris's Cabins, and they'd spend money like mad. Billie Holiday appeared there. I remember one night I had to follow her, and I said, Joe Louis is a fighter, 'cause he knocked old Wildcat dead. Well, I'm a fighter too, but I do mine in the bed. And this policeman walked up and took my hand. I said, oh, good, Swiss, this woman. And she said, I'm an officer. And she says, we don't allow those numbers to be sung in clubs. We don't allow that in Washington. I said, well, I didn't know it. I was pleading because I didn't want to get carried off, you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Miss Laura Pettaway.
all of me? Why not take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good without you? Take my arms, I want to lose them. Take my lips, I never use them. 'Cause your goodbyes left me with eyes that cry. Oh, how can I go on, dear, without you? You took that part, once was my heart, so why not take all of me?
In the club where we worked, down on New York Avenue, well, we had a table in the back, and then when we get off, we do our 20-minute zone, 20-40, and then we go back to our table. We weren't allowed to mix with but they would want us to come out and mix with them. And they would buy drinks for us. They were so disgusted, you know, and drinks for us, and then we couldn't come out and sit with them and drink.
Yeah, well, that's something I didn't even realize, because we had everything we needed. We had the best of eating places. We had the best of theaters. I'm not talking about some building thrown up together. Best of theaters, so we got along because they came out of our places.
Well, it was always like 3 or 4 different classes of people here. You had the whites, you had the browns, you had the yellows, and you had the blacks.
Hey, I'm gonna tell all you folks, listen to me. Don't try to find you a home down in Washington, D.C., 'cause it's a bourgeois town. Hey, 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 it's a bourgeois town. Hey, it's a bourgeois town. I'm gonna spread the news all around. Hey, I said, me and Martha standing upstairs. White man said, don't want no niggas out there. Ah, it's a bourgeois town. Hey, it's a bourgeois town. It's a bourgeois town. I'm spreading the news all around. I said, a home of the brave, land of the free. I won't be mistreated by no bourgeoisie. It's a bourgeois town. Hey, a bourgeois town. Hey, it's a bourgeois town. I'm gonna spread the news all around. Hey, hey, hey.
Mixed. The whites could go where they wanted to go. We couldn't go where we wanted to go. So they would come and join us. We couldn't come and join them. It was segregation. You couldn't go.
Thousands are gathered near the memorial to hear this Easter Day recital, which is perhaps the first open-air concert ever held in Washington. Miss Anderson will be introduced by Secretary of the Interior, Harold L. Ickes.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in this great auditorium under the sky, all of us are free. Genius draws no color line.
Liberty,
I remember that my particular fraternity, which is Kappa Alpha Psi, certainly had a petition which all of us signed in 1938, I believe, to the Constitution Hall, petitioning them to change their policy. And of course, we were all there among 75,000 other people who drew together at the Lincoln Memorial when Marian Anderson did perform.
The spirit of protest demonstrated in the Marian Anderson incident became more compelling. For once again, Washington's blacks were in uniform. Remembering that black soldiers had returned from the First World War not to a parade, but to white violence, the soldiers were determined that the battle at home would continue while they fought racism overseas.
Well, I had 3 incidents that I recall, and about which in each instance I wrote to the Interstate Commerce Commission complaining of what I considered racial discrimination. Not necessarily then simply a complaint against racial segregation, but even beyond that racial discrimination. One occurred on a railroad trip, and I'm in uniform as a corporal in the United States Army Air Force.
From Corporal Paul Cook, dear sir, it is really galling to be a citizen of this democracy, to listen to the constant espousal of human equality, to fight in the service of this country, and yet to be unable to get a dinner on a train.
During and after World War II was the biggest change to me. There was an influx of the sailors and the soldiers. Segregation was still into being, but not as heavy as it used to be, because these fellas had met other fellas in the service, and people wanted to be up in this area.
Let's go downtown called Phil Bobby. #1 scope. $1 down and catch the other dollar and catch him, you know. No kidding. Nothing like the house then, though.
That's
Nothing
right.
like 17. Greatest corn in Washington.
That's right.
All the corns you can have. 17, 4th and in, 12th and U. 12th and U came later. 12th and U was nothing like this corner here. Greatest corn in the world, 17. No kidding.
All right.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I mean, that came later. There was a lot there.
It was a house with a pantry.
So 40s have to be a period of change. The time when the barriers were beginning to fall. Right to 1953, when the Supreme Court in this city struck down the Thompson restaurant barrier to blacks and opened up restaurants.
Black Washington cheered the Supreme Court decisions outlawing segregation. No longer was the black community restricted to its own neighborhoods. The proprietors at 7th and T watched their world lose its unique position as blacks started enjoying their new freedom outside the confines of the old neighborhood. No longer in the spotlight of black life in Washington, 7th and T was fading.
Remember the time we set the theater on fire? That's right, set the whole theater on fire.
I don't remember setting the theater on fire.
Yeah, we did. I remember that.
I remember fires.
See, you don't remember everything.
No, but I remember quite a few things about around here. Yeah, that's true.
That's because you're older than me.
Yeah, I am. I'm old, yeah, but...
During the riots in 1968, following the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Grace Paulin shut the door at Tim's hot dog stand for the last time. 7th and T was no more.
But it would be a wonderful thing if they could ever revive it and bring it back like it was. But maybe one day it'll come back again. Let's hope.
Lord, dear Lord above, God Almighty, God of love, oh please look down and to see my people through. Lord, dear Lord above, God Almighty, God of love, oh please look down and to see my people through. I believe that God put sun and moon up in the sky. I don't mind the gray skies, 'cause they're just clouds passing by. Lord, dear Lord above, God Almighty, God of love, oh please look down and to see my people through. I believe that God put sun and moon up in the sky. I don't mind the gray skies, 'cause they're just clouds passing by. Lord, dear Lord above, God Almighty, God of love, oh please look down and to see my people through.